Hi, Gemini. Thank you so much for your patience, for waiting, and thank you for joining me. Yes, this is the third time I'm recording this video, and I hope that the file will not corrupt this time. Very spooky stuff with the Gemini video for this year. Never mind, you do have Jupiter going through your 12th house in Taurus. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I have no idea why. So, never mind. Let's talk about this particular year 24 and what is going on. So I trust that for a lot of Geminis, there's going to be quite a lot of gossip and feelings and fears and emotions up until about the last little drop of May 2024, because it's when Jupiter goes into your sign. When you have Jupiter in your sign, it's going to be completely different. And yes, of course, also as for all signs, by about October 24, there's going to be a very, very big change, and is going to be very, very simple to do things from there on. But before this happens, we do have to talk about the year. So the year is very, very uncomfortable. Maybe sometimes there's a lot of movement, a lot of gossip. You might very easily be thrown about. If you are prone to that, maybe you already prepared yourself. For example, somebody says this, somebody says that, your employer might put you into different branches of your company. For example, you might have many friends want to speak to you about certain things that maybe don't matter to you. It might be a little bit randomized. You might be a little bit disorganized. It could be a little bit unsettling in the first part of the year, and it's very likely that you won't really know where you stand. In a sense, the hand of God or karma, or just the randomizing sequence between people might take a bigger place in your life than having your own sense of self and your own control. That's very, very easy for some people, and then for other people, it is not going to be very, very simple. So, for example, in certain cases, there's going to be quite a lot of experiences and energies prepared for you. And in certain other cases, you will not have those experiences and energies prepared for you. You will have to kind of organize things in the blink of an eye, and maybe there is a lot of serendipitous behavior and sudden change, sudden loss, and sudden find happening also between you and other people. So this is like quite messy. It looks like it could be quite messy. So leading up to the Jupiterian embellishment in your sign, I feel is going to be a little bit cheesy, strange, and also very willful as to what you're going to do. It might be very, very strong and emotional of you to take part in anything. It could be very easy said and done. Some things are going to also be kind of up in the air. So I'm sensing that before May, there's going to be quite a lot of us asking you to participate in certain things. There's going to be quite a lot of dances and little sparklings made around you, and it's going to be like maybe a little bit weird and a tiny bit insensitive as to how things eventually plan out. So in a sense, it might just sort of like bundle you into a situation by the end of which you really see who you are. So in a sense, I'm not telling you that you don't have any say over who you are necessarily or what the story represents, but it is very likely also that some Geminis will be bundled and tumbled into a few of your situations. It could be that you didn't do it, but somebody else did it. It could be that you are unbeknownst as to what is happening in your life. It could also be very easy that you have been controlled, or there are other people that have, in a sense, defined what you're going to do, and that have felt that you would best fit here rather than there. So there are not that many Geminis that know this about this time, so they might be still sticking around, like, for example, their day job and their everyday way of life. They might be constantly going around and looking at people and finding worth, and they might be thinking, I'm the one with the key, I'm the one doing this. And sure, you are, but in a bigger sense of things, I don't feel that it will be you necessarily that gets to do that thing. I don't feel that it's necessarily you that has all the power and all your ducks in a row enough to really be able to participate in something. So I'm not necessarily seeing you disempowered, but in a sense, I'm seeing you kind of flung energetically, and I'm also sensing that quite a lot of Geminis have another story that is taking over without their real understanding. Maybe it is not necessarily your willpower that manifests certain ideas or stories or situations. at the beginning of the year, there could be lots of other energies, other powers, other conglomerates, other people, brothers and sisters, or just friends that are the main character in the story or more dominant over the progress of the story, which I don't think is going to be nice. So, I mean, what to do? Allow and let go, try to get those meanings though. So, a lot of this year is about meanings, it's about legacies. You have to still feel adjusted and feel good about yourself, even though some things may not happen with you in mind. Even some things might just serendipitously and randomly occur at the beginning, and you may not have a lot of hope in that. But I think that it's more about having a center and a point of reference for later years and understanding like where you belong, what is the state of security for you, where those people that might be the most conscious or connected people in your game, where are the best results hiding, what are you going to do later. In some cases, yeah, it is about planning things long term, and I understand some people will be probably quite well off building a platform that they can use for many years to come or in many years to come. I get it, like we don't all really know where the world is going, and sometimes it's like very scary or weird planning for the future many years ahead. But in certain cases, because of the 12th house, Jupiter eliminating your sign, it is quite wise to plan for old age, for retirement. It is very, very like sexy actually, and it's becoming very attractive to people that know what's going to happen eventually. It's like planning for 6 years ahead. So I definitely trust you will have probably the best results if you go inwards and look for meanings and big gains and understand what the truth of the world is. And if you wanted to, you can also work it out by yourself. 12th house Jupiter is quite isolating, so in a sense you might be better off if you did things alone and you got to that part of you which really knows and understands what is going on in the world. And if you wanted to, you could also explain it to other people eventually and understand and see how things are done. So this is like long-term planning. This is like being a little bit afraid of not necessarily the future, but the cause and effect of certain things that you have done so far. This is apprehending bad things. So for example, noticing that you have, for example, a candida overgrowth, or noticing that you have bad breath, or you have like a hole in your tooth or something like that. And now like doing something to fix those things, you know. So in a sense, it's not necessarily all about fixing things, but it's just about trying to get wholesome and strong in the first little part of the year. And maybe you guys are asking me, it's like, well, when is it gonna kick in? Where is the juice? Like you told me in the collective video, there's gonna be the alpha year. Like, am I just gonna like stick around and wait? Well, not necessarily. I definitely don't think you have to stick around and wait and necessarily guide yourself away from the group or the constant overall that is happening in life. But I definitely feel that you'd have greater power and greater things happen in your life if you circulate with the right people, if you know everybody that you are with, you're sharing your time with. It's really good, and being very careful about also other people's incentives. In the first 3 to 4 months, it could be their story, their ideas, their obsessions, their beliefs and religious views that could be pushing you about. So I'm feeling that you guys are quite gentle and kind of naive in the first part of the year, and it would be kind of nice to close it down and to have some time for thought and to fashion yourself probably a new life over the top of where people expect you to be eventually in the end. So I definitely understand that some people have to have certain repetitive patterns happen in their life. They want to enjoy themselves as well. They want to have community and strength, and you know, they're trying to not necessarily balance, but make sure that they get it all, that they get all of those different parts of their life shining, which is a very Gemini thing, you know, to look for the ideals, or to make sure that everything works and everything shines. But then I'm also feeling that not a lot of it really works later in the end, unless you have true faith and connection. So it's about values, strength and connection, recognizing where you stand with other beings on board, understanding where your life is going, where your money is going, where it's spent, you know, and how it's made, you know. So I guess it is more about understandings, and maybe for some people it is about religion and trust in something greater than yourself. And yes, for certain very like open-minded Geminis to the idea of God or creator, it would be very interesting to put your faith in God, basically, as Jupiter will be going for your 12th sign. And that means that you will have an entirely new connection and probably a better future if there was definitely some kind of religious or spiritual overtone, as it is very hard to imagine another being or conglomerate of beings being responsible or being unconsciously the drivers of your life, the collective conscious being the driver of your life. It is sometimes better to be purified and respectful of where you are and where you might be later in the future if you put your trust in God's hands. Maybe sometimes it is about God and sometimes it is just about knowledge that comes from through a certain doctrine, which is not wrong. And then eventually, basically, we're going on to your illumination of Jupiter. So from about April onwards, it's going to be so much light and power. And there's also certain catastrophes that can happen. Yes, sometimes it is like having too much of something can be also overweighing, because Jupiter is going to really definitely show you and show you off and see you as something great, and it's going to be a sudden faith that is going to just elevate in you alone, and your power. So it could be that you are suddenly very sparkly and very magnetic, and you suddenly have a lot of something. For example, you have a lot of money, or you have a lot of territory, you have a lot of meanings, you have a lot of information, or you have a lot of friends. And then it just basically eventually evolves you well into 2025. So in a sense, if you could imagine, you might be holding your breath, Jupiter the breath, before, as he's going for Taurus, the sign previous to you. And as Jupiter goes into your sign, it's going to be like, I can't believe it, I'm so happy, or wow, look at me, I've got everything that I ever wanted in my life. So it's going to be probably quite a lot of people also arguing with you, as I do understand that sometimes Gemini secretly, silently enjoys an argument. And the opposite perspective, what is your perspective? It is about people, though at the end of the day it's about heart, it's about sometimes money made together, or conglomerates of people dealing with things, or villages and tribes trying to put something together. It's very, very beautiful, and it's very good, and it's going to bring up a lot of ego. So there's going to be a huge push with Geminis, for Geminis. There's going to be suddenly a lot of money made, a lot of people known, a lot of talk about something or somebody. Is going to be very, very bouncy and very pulsating, very like up and down. And then inevitably, eventually, we're going to have to close it down into a more comfortable and pragmatic snake year 2025. So what I'm basically telling you is that you need to understand that there's going to be a natural closure, or there's going to be natural pressure and stagnation, and there's going to be a natural sort of bounty from about April or end of May, even 2024. And then there's going to be a momentum that is going to tell you a new story and give you greater skills, greater ambitions, greater legacies, greater power. But this is going to be only for a limited time. So this summertime feeling, the feeling of having everything, the feeling of having incredible joy, having incredible friendships, having incredible money or territories, having opportunities and options, and probably many options. It's like, I don't have to stick around here, I can do whatever I want. So there's quite a lot of Geminis having this incredible what is it called? I forgot. It was just on the tip of my tongue there. Like an incredible destiny, and the destiny is kind of like shared between 5 or 6 different people, or it might be interconnected. And there's a flurry. There it is, the flurry of energy happening for you, and for sure, in certain Gemini's lives, is gonna treat you very, very well, and in some cases it's going to be things breaking and falling apart, so that better, stronger, and more worthier things can come together and such, until about maybe the end of the year. In November, for sure, you are not going to be able to do anything that you've done before. Meaning, like, for example, wow, I had this very lucky time and I was able to generate all of this very fast, very quickly, or I was just in luck, basically. And then November is going to naturally walk you into another atmosphere, another group of friends, maybe very likely going to happen. A next level personality is going to come through, and all of that flurry, all of that opportunity, all that ability, or all that talk is going to eventually funnel into a very, very tight and exquisite, beautifully placed, beautifully sculpted, and well-designed snake year. and you might be much better off than a lot of people in a snake year. Snake year is hard after dragon. So what I mean is, dragon is the most bountiful, abundant, happy-go-lucky, crazy, intense, loving, surreal, slightly fearful, but at the same time epic year. It's slightly sensitive for some people because there is so much going on. There's so much on the line. Sometimes in a dragon year, there's so much senses awakening. There's so much truth to it. And then eventually, inevitably, we'll go into snake. And the snake year, 2025, is not actually going to be about love and truth and even pain or memories or emotions. It's more for you going to be about containment. So, for example, if you can imagine, you've built or sculpted yourself something really, really amazing during Dragon Year, and then Snake is what it takes to be able to empower you to be able to recognize what you've done and to give it growth and to give it substance, but it's not as raw or radical. It's not as big or as bouncy or as pushy or as emotional. It's going to be a little bit emotionless, which I think that Geminis kind of try to understand, and they also care for that side of life. When things are just perfect as they are, you've got to leave it as that. So in a sense, November's end is going to put things into your perspective. It is going to be more about marketplaces. It's going to be more about long-term plans. It's more about giving. It's more about saving. So for example, if you were very, very energetically abundant and you made a whole lot of money in 2024, it's very easy to put this money away and to know how to trickle into a savings account, how to have a retirement account, how to make sure that your mortgage is paid. If you wanted, you could get certain things happening in your life. So the question is, should you invest in huge things like mortgages and banks during 24? I don't think so. This is not what I'm saying. I just feel that it depends. For some people, it makes absolute sense. The karmic sense, and for certain people were like, okay, I want to be away from this. This is not working. So certain people are friends with the system and the system works for them fine, and certain other people, it's not like necessarily the system, it's just like a certain feeling of stability and safety in the modern life. Not every single person necessarily needs or wants it. In some cases, yeah, there is going to be a lot coming from you investing your money better and having specific friends and family that you can spend that money with or on. Being very careful with gifts, being very careful with also doubt. There is a lot of very crystalline energy here. It's like if you overstep it, you can break it. So in a sense, the dragon year is going to be very hard for those that have a temper or that have a certain personality trait that is very rambunctious, or very disempowered sometimes also. It's a very, very good matter. So life is giving you pretty good feelings. It's almost like everything is woven out of the best fibers during 2024. It is, I mean, as they say, quote unquote, emerald year for certain signs, and I do definitely get that for you. For some of you guys, it might be probably the only quintessential year to get it right and to finally present that work in front of people and to really get ahead and get in front of the audience that you always wanted to see, and to feel peaceful and good about what you're going to make eventually in the end and forevermore. So for example, marriages, mortgages, long-term jobs, driving this, starting a brand or a business. But this is not like necessarily just about taking opportunities. It's also about being really quiet and careful sometimes, because not all of it kind of exists the way that you believe it exists. So some of us, we do get the choice. It's like, do you finally want that wedding dress and the ring on your finger, or do you finally want to step into your home that you'll be living in for the rest of your life? I mean, I get it. This is very romantic as well. But you have to be very careful, like tread carefully. Like I always say this, like really like sense it. Sometimes you guys are very likely going to love the result more than you're going to love the actual picture, So like the big wedding cake and the marriage, sound like a great idea. But when you're actually stepping into the ins and outs of it, it may not necessarily be all that you want. So we have to be basically very careful, although some very, very huge dreams can come true and high-rise ideas can happen during this particular year. It is not going to be that good for you unless you really understand the full picture of it. And this comes down to education and being kind of more psychologically evolved and understanding, and sometimes it is about statistics and groundwork, like research, like understanding what other people have to go through, understanding what other people have done, understanding what, for example, love and marriage is for another person, recognizing what is the value of property where you live. Is it going to rise or is it going to fall with time? So I do get it. I mean, sorry to be a bit practical, I am recording this during Capricorn season, so in a sense, not a lot of people really get their worth or their truth, even though options are plentiful, opportunities are just going to be off the hook, and everything's going to look so good. I would probably get an advisor, a friend, or some kind of a committee to help you grow. Rely on statistics, sometimes rely on what other people have done. It's very, very careful work during these days, and it's going to be very, very good. I mean, there's still going to be probably quite a lot of money in respect to opportunities and options for many people. There's still going to be a lot of green pastures. But if you are really, really dependent on result, and if you really, really are a huge, not necessarily gambler, but like player in life, if you are really, really mathematical and you want to really get it right, don't just rely on the advertisement. Don't just rely on the face value results or face value ideas, because you might not get it later in time, but somebody else will. So, I mean, if you want to, and I know this sounds really prosaic, do the research before you invest in anything, although you have investment power and potential, and you can do so many more things than other people maybe in your field. You might suddenly be wanted or even prized, you might be cherished. A lot of people are really going to enjoy the medley of energy that's going to happen probably from about May till October. There's going to be like a medley of energy. There's going to be all of these ideas just popping up, all of these amazing circles of friends, all this amazing power, all this amazing social jive, a lot of money, or a lot of problems are going to be solved. People are going to be very, very open to you, and it might be very colorful, and for some people very extreme. It's like, wow, I'm so happy, I didn't know this time of my life would come now, I'm so glad this happened to me. But then there's also going to be kind of like a fortress built out of all of this. It's not just about being fun and good looking, it's not just about having a certain type of relevance in the storyline, but it is also about that. It is also about the flurry. It is also about having extreme, like an extreme connection to somebody. Get somebody else helping you. It is so good to get who you are with, sometimes making decisions for you, because it is so difficult. And sometimes Gemini might say, well, I get the microphone now. I get to be the happy-go-lucky person. I get to be the one with the results. Yeah, I get it. We don't usually want to see the ins and outs of the story. We don't usually feel that good or respectful or respectable as to how it went in the end. And sometimes it is, yeah, get a friend, get a friend, get a friend to help you organize things, toss things up between different people, between different agencies, get an advisor, get a financial planner, get a bank person, like a banker telling you things, or somebody who is really, really good at crypto. If you're doing crypto, make sure you make that like money, for example, you make that potential, and you make it for a long time. We want to keep things, make it forever. If you are making any strides, put it in your bank. Yeah, like save it, try to make sure you keep it. So there's some fancy, fabulous ideas. There are also some limits. So yeah, in a sense, from about November, like the end of November, there's going to be a really like said and done feeling. There's going to be just this and this only, and some people are going to have limits naturally come about. If you are limited during Dragon Year and you understand where you do and do not go and what you can and cannot be a part of, you're going to already be prepared for these limits that are happening in Snake Year. So Snake Year is going to be very limited. Some people are going to be better off doing this or better off doing that. All of these plans, all of this flurry and medley is going to become very conservative. We're going to get only 1 or 2 ideas instead of like 50 ideas. There's going to be a shortening and a certain type of sometimes betrayal that can occur, and maybe it is right for it to occur. So in a sense, not everybody's right here. Betrayals, why do betrayals happen? It is very, very hard and harmful for some people also to have constant sugar, for example, to have constant juice, to have constant excitement and constantly being paid incredible amounts of money for something they do. We definitely do need to narrow things down. And this dryness and this bitterness that might happen in a snake here is going to help you package things and make them whole, and make sure that the summer of dragon year, if you can imagine, it's the hottest season, this beautiful energy of dragon is going to be packaged and maybe reprogrammed and repackaged once, twice, or 3 times during snake. So prepare for limits. We want to also feel great. We want to breathe with our whole chest. We want to feel grateful. We want to feel as if we're doing the best we can. We want to feel hope and stuff. And that can sometimes not be done. Only some people may sometimes also deserve a chance and such. So it would probably be better to grow and create patterns, options, opportunities that you can go through regularly. It's really good to do like things like, for example, a yoga routine, exercise routine, to do any kind of routine-based work or inner work on yourself, and to be blessed and to be happy, and to give to people also an opportunity, an option to have fun with you. And then eventually, as the story ends, we go into 2025, we're going to have a lot more options that are solid and that are worthy. So it's not just about having a party, it's not just about the flurry and the excitement of it all, although I do understand that for a soul, for the body, it's very important to just have addictions sometimes even, or attraction or intimacy, and to have entertainment. You know, it's really important sometimes to just have fun. But we have to package these golden means, we have to package these golden thoughts, and eventually end up probably with just the one thing that is left over from the dragon year. So maybe if you're looking for legacy, it will not find you. It will naturally be kind of funneled and filtered into this one gem, into this one drop that will, I suppose, like as a pearl or as a gem form by the end of 2024. So I hope that the distillation process, that you distill your time into a stronger, more potent, and more carefree version. And I believe in you, Geminis, and let's trust this year also the serendipity of it and the randomizing sequence, and yet at the same time keep your eyes on the prize and make sure you get somebody in the picture that could help you, especially if you are out of your depths and you've never been there before. For example, getting a mortgage, buying something like a sports car or something, or finding a new person to love. Ask other people to help you. So thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time.